Just do the land acknowledgement in the spirit of reconciliation. We acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is the unceded Mi'kmaq territory, Epiquet, Prince Edward Island. Mi'kmaq is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Call to order. I just want to bring your attention to the Huntington Disease Month. Huntington disease is a hereditary neurological degenerative illness with physical, cognitive, and emotional symptoms that eventually lead to incapacitation and death. HD has been compared to experience ALS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and schizophrenia all in one disease. Children of a parent with HD have a 50% chance of developing the disease, and there is currently no cure. Approximately 1 in 7,000 Canadians has Huntington's disease, and about 1 in 5,500 is at risk of developing it. There are approximately 12 Huntington disease families on Prince Edward Island, including some in Charlottetown. Huntington Disease Awareness Month helps support this mission of the Huntington Society of Canada and raises awareness of the supports available to families living with Huntington disease. The City of Charlottetown stands in support of those affected and encourages greater awareness, compassion, and continued research. And to show our support, the City Hall Tower will be illuminated in purple, red from May 28th to May 30th, 2026. Any declarations of conflict of interest? Councillor Duran, can you just...
I'm in conflict in the second second planning. I think it's the second planning rezoning in Hidden Valley.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Tweel?
It's not so much a conflict. I have a request to make, and I'd like the request to go to Intergovernmental Affairs. As members of council know, for the last couple of years, I've questioned conflicts of interest, how conflicts of interest are arrived at. Secondly, when it comes to other forms of conflict of interest, declarations of different mechanisms, and I'm not so sure I truly understand the process when it comes to conflict of interest versus, for example, blind trust, and what takes precedence, what supersedes one over the other. I have been determined to get some answers from a legal perspective, truly independent of what we as elected officials deem a conflict of interest, what's an apprehension of bias, a perception of bias, and how that stacks up against blind trust, and what mechanisms we must follow from the MGA, the Municipal Government Act. So, Mr. Chairman of Intergovernmental Affairs, if you could please take that under advisement. I'm looking for a comprehensive report, a contemporary report, jurisdictional scan, and anything that's associated with my dissertation here this evening. So I respectfully request you to embark upon that process.
Okay.
Chair of Intergovernmental Affairs.
Thank you. Anything else? You're in conflict?
Pardon me?
Are you in conflict of anything, or just...
No, I made a request.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Approval of agenda. Moved by Councillor McKinnon, second by Councillor Ramsey. All in favor? Okay. Adoption of previous draft minutes of council, regular meeting of council, April 14th, 2026. Moved by the deputy. Moved by the deputy, second by Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor? Okay. Business arising of the minutes, Councillor Matard.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to draw your attention to page 9 of the digital copy. Just in regard to the last time that my committee met in regards to Boulder Park and the discussions that we had during that meeting. Unfortunately, we haven't met since, so we haven't had to have any discussion on that. But I just wanted to raise the point that during that meeting, we talked about the ground use policy with Boulder Park and the impacts that may or may not end up having on how the park would be used going forward, especially for events that have occurred in the past. There was an article in the paper not too long ago that regard to the ground use policy and the work that was being done by the Legislative Standing Committee. And by all intents and purposes, it seems like that is the committee now which determines what can and cannot happen on those grounds. I think that there is likely to be some concern out there, especially from the mistletoe community and the organizers of that, as to whether or not they're going to be able to continue to operate there annually as they've done in the past under these new ground use policy. And it seems as if, though, in order to put that application through, that would be determined by the Legislative Standing Committee, which we as a city are not part of, and we do not have any membership on there, from what I can tell. I did ask for council, members of the city or administration to be a part of that, and according to the article in the paper and through the clerk with Joey Jeffrey, he indicated that the city, that they never received any formal notification from the city. And I don't know if that would have been through resolution or how that would have been. So it seems like a real missed opportunity. Not sure how that wasn't put forward, considering I'd asked numerous times for us to be a part of that and to work through that with them. So I think that I'm still requesting some form of discussion with the clerk to determine how we are going to proceed. I think there would be an expectation, since the city, technically owns the property, that we would have some form of say or determination as to what events, could be held there in good faith of what the intent of the park is for. We know that it's green space and we know that it has certain covenances associated with it. And I'm not suggesting we're going to do anything outside of that other than potentially what was occurring there in the past. So right now, I think it's very uncertain. I don't think we know exactly what can and can't be done there. As far as I know, we haven't had those discussions. So again, I'm asking for those discussions to be had in a formal request by council or mayor and council to the clerk, so that we can sit down with the CAO involved and whoever else needs to be from the administration to determine outright what can and can't be done on this property going forward in the process and our involvement as a city.
Okay.
Thank you.
Michael, do you want to respond to that? I think you were tasked to follow up.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through to Councillor Matart. I'm not sure that I can offer a lot of clarity on the comments made in that article. We certainly did follow through following discussion at the committee level and at the council level, and request that the city participate in the creation of the grounds use policy. We were then advised, as I indicated in my report to committee a little while ago, that that grounds use policy was completed. The city wasn't able to participate in that for whatever reason. And after seeing the email circulated amongst council over, I think it was last week or the weekend, I'll certainly follow up with the representative from the Ledge to have a further discussion about it.
Councillor Twill?
Yeah. Just a follow-up to Councillor Justin Matart on Boulder Park. I question the validity of the resolution that was passed after we learned that we don't have the sole determination as to what takes place on that property. $4.8 million, regardless what the money was for. We purchased a property that it's quite clear now that we have no say over. We have no jurisdiction over. Email was sent out last night, Councillor Trevor McKinnon. There's a huge structure that's on that property. I don't know if the permits were issued for that structure, but it just seems to be one revelation after another. One revelation after another that's taking place on that property, and this city council is totally in the dark. So, to follow up on what you said, and I appreciate you being candid with council, Councillor Matart, I'm looking for a chronological list of events when this property, the discussions that took place in acquiring this property, who were involved with the discussions, who spearheaded the initiative, who was involved with the negotiations, and why were all these missteps taking place. Like I said, it's one revelation after another. Council's completely in the dark as to what's taking place. And we learn what's taking place via the media, whether it's CBC, Tony Davies, or Logan McLean with The Guardian. That's where we find out what's taking place. So, there's many ways to describe this, but it's certainly, as I said before, I don't believe it's responsible government. And we continually to find out through the media what's actually taking place with Boulder Park. And the email that was sent by Councillor Trevor McKinnon, I went down and looked at that structure. That is a huge structure. No question about it. So there's a lot of questions, a lot of answers. People in the community are asking these questions. And again, I'll reiterate from a chronological perspective as to how this whole process began and who was involved with the process.
Okay.
Those are answers we need, and equally important, more importantly, these are answers that the community needs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it does fall under the Legislative Assembly Management. Standing committee. The standing committee responsible for the Grounds Committee falls under the Legislative Assembly Management. Standing committee, it's chaired by Honorable Brad Trivers, the Speaker, Susie Dillon, Honorable Hal Perry, Gordon McNeely, Matthew McFarland, Matthew McKay, and Brendan Kern as MLAs. So Michael is going to follow up, correct? And as for the generator that down there, that's a backup power generator for the building. That's been there for 3 years. Yeah, because they've been doing work around the building. But it's been there for 3 years.
Yeah, it's nice that you mentioned that committee, legislative committee, but we weren't aware of that when that transaction had taken place. So, again, this is all new information. We learn information via the media, whether it's The Guardian or whether it's CBC. They're doing their due diligence. They're asking the relevant questions, and we find out through the media like everyone else does. So I would suggest that 90% of the time we're kept in the dark as to what's actually taking place with Boulder Park. And we need answers, and we need concrete answers. Yeah. I want to know just how much power we have over that piece of property. Like, folks, $4.8 million, and every day there's something happening in Boulder Park that we're not aware of. Yeah. And I don't think I'm overstating it. I don't think I'm being inaccurate. I think I'm being reasonable and respectful, but this has gone on much too long. So, Mr. Chairman of Intergovernmental Affairs, please follow through.
Yep. Again, I keep reminding Councillor Tweel, we do have the Victoria Park Act that oversees Victoria Park. There are stipulations in that act that prohibits the city of Charlottetown to even charge anyone to use that park. So there are always stipulations. This is a heritage square. It's part of the 5 squares. That's what's on our flag. The middle square is Queen Square. That's what this property falls under. So there will be follow-up, and I appreciate, Michael, you've been working on it, and the House is in session, so again, that's difficult for the Speaker to, and the Clerk to be available. Okay. Business arising out of the minutes. Councillor Twill.
Yep. If you go to page 2 of 8. 2 of 8. Under Planning and Heritage. It was questioned whether the Irving Oil redevelopment of Eustis Street truly qualifies as a heritage project, and though a thorough review was requested to determine which, if any, historical elements are actually being preserved. Deputy Mayor Jankoff indicated she would take this under advisement. I know that the Heritage Board did not meet, but I've since had the opportunity to talk to residents in the community. Yesterday, I was on Lower Chestnut. Residents were out saying, like, pointed over and said, what's heritage about that? Really and truly, what's heritage about that building? I said, well, I brought it up at the last council meeting. I said, there's not even a nail left. So, you know, if we're going to say that we're going to preserve, protect, and enhance heritage preservation in this city, and the city doesn't practice what it's preached, then we lack credibility. That's a $3 million investment in that property, and went to great lengths to say that, you know, this is a heritage landmark in our city, and we're going to do everything we can to protect it. Well, a lot of people in this community are questioning that. That's a $3 million investment, and nobody believes for 1 minute that there's anything left that truly requires and illustrates the fact that any component of that building is heritage. So I said I would bring it up again, and I look forward to working with Deputy Mayor Lana, working with your committee, because there's too many questions in our community, and nobody believes for a minute that that's heritage.
Right. And there are 4 partners in it. Federal government, COA, provincial, Irving Oil, and the city. Yes?
Thanks, Councillor Twill, and I did reiterate that we do need to get a report through our Heritage Department for a full kind of outline of, you know, how this became heritage, why it's heritage, et cetera. So I haven't forgotten about it, we just hadn't met. Yep.
And I appreciate that.
Okay, great.
Okay. Number 6, council inquiries to be taken under consideration. Councillor Beck.
Oh, go ahead. Sure.
No inquiry, just wanted to comment on something. Had the opportunity to attend the renaming of Charlottetown Airport the other day, Alex B. Campbell, in honor of Alex B. Campbell, an historic event. And I have to give some kudos to our mayor, I believe, because he made a presentation, and I've been around to various presentations over a number of years, and I've seen them take place, and Mayor Brown hauled out of his little tickle trunk a grade 6, grade 5 project of his son Alec, and he connected the dots, as he often does with us in council here, and you know, gives us historical perspective. Whether we want it or not, he'll give it. But in this particular instance, I thought it was really neat how we took a moment like this, and he took a grade 4 science heritage fair project, or grade 6, grade 5 heritage fair project, done on Alex Bradshaw Campbell, connected the dots with Premier Campbell there, and wove it into the fabric of a celebratory event. And I thought it was pretty neat how it all happened. So credit where credit due is due, Your Worship. You did a fine job representing the city, connecting the province with the city, with the heritage and the governance, and I thought it was well done. So
Thank you.
Good.
But you forgot one point.
What?
Alec met his granddaughter, Karina, in Toronto, and they started a discussion, and Alex said, so who's your father, and who's your mother, and who's your grandfather? And she said, Alex B. Campbell. He said, oh my heavens, I did a grade 5 heritage project on him.
You're right. And of course, the love of Alex B. Campbell from your mother that was clearly expressed. Pierre Elliott Trudeau and Alex B. Campbell, 2 of the Brown family favorites.
Good Liberal.
Good liberals, yes.
Councillor Twill.
Recently, I've talked to residents, east end of the city, the heart of the city, west end of the city. There's a major concern with open-air drug usage. There's a major concern with needles and crack pipes all over the city's landscape. I believe the city of Charlottetown has a contract with some company to pick up needles and crack pipes and garbage that's left over from drug usage. I question why the city of Charlottetown is paying for, to clean up this garbage of needles and crack pipes. People don't feel safe. They question why open-air drug usage is allowed in our city. You can't walk down the street with a bottle of beer, that's for sure. So we need to, I brought this up a couple of years ago. I think the time has come now. We need to start submitting bills to the relevant NGOs that are distributing these needles and crack pipes, or to the province of Prince Edward Island, whatever the case may be. But the status quo, ladies and gentlemen, is just not working, and people do not feel safe in their community, and they're tired of this illegal drug usage and the distribution of needles and crack pipes, which are showing up all over the city's landscape. So I wanted to bring that to the forefront again. I did previously, under notice of motions, we had discussions. You were the chair at the time, Councillor Beck, when these issues were brought up. I think we need to revisit them, and we need a plan of action to be implemented to prevent and discourage this type of illegal behavior in the city of Charlottetown. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Matard?
Excuse me. Thank you for that, Councillor Tweel. I just want to also iterate that I've been working directly with some communications internally to the chair of Protective Services with Councillor McCabe, and obviously the CAO and the Chief of Police around an increased presence of activity, primarily in and around the Outreach Center and surrounding area, but I know it expands what is considered maybe some of the hotspots throughout the city. So I know that the chair is committed to having some discussions at her next committee meeting on this particular topic, and maybe it'll dovetail into some of the things that you're bringing forward here this evening as well. So I just wanted to also reiterate that. And I think I also shared with the council, there was a great article that was provided to me from, I think, in Edmonton, where the, Edmonton police are looking to, make an assertive effort to crack down on what they call city hotspots where activity's happening, known, and trying to address those and making a firm stance on that. So maybe that's something that we can look at and adopt. And I know the CAO is, is certainly close to this file for over the years as the chief of police, and I'm sure you'll work with the interim chief of police and your chair of protective services to continue to look into this issue, because I know that it is continuing and it's ongoing, especially in and around the Outreach Center and the surrounding area. Thank you, Councillor Twill.
Okay. Okay. Reports of standing committees of council. Planning and Heritage, Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good evening, everybody. The Heritage Board, Design Review Board, and the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee have not met since our last council meeting. Planning and Heritage Committee met on Tuesday, May 5th, and our Planning Board met on Tuesday, May 5th. Respectively, both of those sets of copies you'll find in your reports this evening. For information purposes, the list of the permit applications issued for April 2026 are also in your package. This evening, we have 5 resolutions for your consideration, and we also have 2 second readings. I just want to make sure it's not first readings. No first readings, 2 second readings. And I just also wanted to just update you folks. Thanks for everyone that was able to get out to the information sessions around the zoning and development bylaw. We heard some good things. I know there was a lot of other stakeholder meetings held internally with staff and developers and stakeholders, and I believe there's more to come. And I believe we're planning to have one more engagement session before we get the what we heard report, and that's going to take place in East Royalty, I believe around the 20th or 21st of May. that date will be confirmed. From there, the staff and the consultants are already working on what they've heard, changes, like that we would be required to do, because as we remember, this was just the first draft that we're seeing. So I just wanted to let everyone know, keep a notice out for that next date in East Royalty, and we'll go from there. We've got lots of work to do. Thank you, and if anyone has any questions on my report, I'll do my best to answer, and if not, we can move right on to our resolutions. Thank you, everybody.
Councillor Twill.
Thank you for your report, Deputy Mayor Lana. Make a suggestion or a recommendation for your planning board, senior administration of the planning department, as to where the city of Charlottetown is currently when it comes to housing. Some people believe that we have a housing crisis. Some people believe there's lots of vacancies. I'm not sure. I don't have the empirical data. I don't think we as a council have that empirical data so that we can take a fresh, I would suggest, comprehensive approach to where we are from ratings. If you were to communicate with CHMSC, if it's above 3.5, there's not a housing crisis. I think that's the benchmark. Below that, it could be considered a housing crisis. I'm not sure. I don't understand. We haven't received the data, the empirical data, the information. So from an objective, independent approach, I believe the time is right for your department to embark upon that comprehensive approach, that extensive approach, gather the information, and use the deputy mayor can issue a press release after we have a discussion here at council to inform the community as to where we're at in terms of population growth. Do we have enough housing? Where we're at with the infrastructure, whether it's homes that islanders are looking to build and live in, and there's so many different factors to an equation of that magnitude. But nonetheless, I think it's our responsibility now to inform the residents of this city where we're at in terms of growth and development of housing, apartment buildings, seniors complexes. And again, to reiterate, I hear many occasions where young families are finding it difficult to be able to construct a home so they can raise their families. So I'd like to take that exercise under consideration and work with your senior staff in the department and bring back a report to council.
Deputy?
Thank you, Councillor Twill. Yes, I will have this added to our next agenda for our Planning and Heritage Committee. And at that time, I'll ask staff to put together a report that will consist of any available data that we have currently. And hopefully that will give enough of information for a fulsome conversation. And so we'll go from there. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to go with the first resolution? We're going to use our voter buttons. Go ahead, sir.
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 1, Your Worship, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved the council approve an amendment to the operational hours outlined in the pedestrian mall agreement as it pertains to the Victoria Row Merchants Association to permit patio operations annually during patio season between the hours of 8 a.m. and 1 a.m. on a permanent basis, and that the mayor and the CEO are hereby authorized to execute contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Questions called? Councillor Twill? Can you just turn him on?
Thank you, Councillor or Deputy Mayor Yankoff. I like the idea. I support the idea. The only question I have is, what is the impact and effect on the residents that live in the community? Have there been any discussions or collaboration with the residents in the community? I understand the request. I certainly wish the business community in Victoria Row all the best, taking into consideration what they've had to deal with over the last, couple of years with the construction at the Confederation Center. But I just wonder from a constituent component, what steps were taken to ensure that there were some consultation and approvals given on behalf of the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Tweel. So last year, when we brought this forward as a pilot, we also invited residents, shop owners, restaurant owners, for any feedback throughout the year so that we could then evaluate this year. And from the staff report that was received by the committee, we did not receive any negative or positive feedback on it. So therefore, it was staff's recommendation that we transition from a pilot into a permanent plan and for the Victoria Park pedestrian bylaw. So of course, just so there's no confusion, this has nothing to do with the existing patio bylaw that we currently have under our street vendors or anything to do with private patios. This is just about the Victoria Park pedestrian bylaw right now. Victoria Park pedestrian bylaw, yeah. Victoria Row, sorry. Oh my gosh. We just talked about Victoria. Don't even talk about Victoria Park. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Go there.
Victoria
And don't go
Row.
near Boulder
Yeah.
Park.
What?
Stay
Yeah.
away from Boulder Park.
So therefore, staff brought back a recommendation that we approve this, and so that's what we're here tonight to decide. Thank you.
Okay? Okay, please vote. Good. Okay, 10-0. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Planning Heritage.
Okay, Councillor Duran is leaving because he's in conflict. Thank you.
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 2, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved, the council approve the proposed major variance for the subject property identified as 15 Clove Haven Street, Lot 153 in the Hidden Valley subdivision, PID number 1047562, to increase the maximum number of apartment units on the site to be 64 units, whereas current maximum density under the zoning would allow for 44 apartment units. And the council approved the proposed major variance for subject property identified as 35, am I pronouncing that right? Yours of Clonehaven?
Clonehaven.
Clonehaven Street.
Clone.
Clonehaven Street. Lot 154 in the Hidden Valley subdivision, PID number 1047562, to increase the maximum number of apartment units on the site to be 64 units, whereas the current maximum density under the zoning would allow for 48 apartment units. And then council approved the proposed major variance of subject property identified as 165 Craigbrook Avenue, Lot 155 in the Hidden Valley subdivision, PID number 1047562, to increase the maximum number of apartment units on the site to be 64 units, whereas the current maximum density under the zoning would allow for 59 apartment units.
Correct. Councillor McKinnon?
Thank you, Your Worship. Excuse me. These three properties they're causing a lot of grief with the residents out there, folks. And I think the residents deserve better from council for these properties. They've gone from R2, we went through public consultation, we came in here and we did a vote to get high rises. And now the high rises is not working, so they're building other units. They want to increase the density again on these units. We still don't have a green space for it. They're saying the green space is over in phase 2 across the stream, so any families with kids have to actually physically cross the stream. There's no bridge, there's no road, there's nothing. They have to get across the stream somehow. I don't know what's there for, which to me is a safety concern. So now, yeah, so we're adding more numbers to this site. Do we actually need this growth? As Councillor Tweel just asked for a report for the growth numbers, do we need extra growth at a cost of this very nice neighborhood? Garbage is blowing all over the neighborhood. With this increased construction, it's going to continue. The stream is full. If you want to take a drive by and look at it, there's styrofoam full, filled, silt fences is down, silt's going into the stream. There's no care. These developers, they don't care about the environment. It's a mess out there. So, sorry. Questions, it's also stated in your package, Deputy Mayor, that to this date of the writing of your package that there was no opposition or in favor. I know for a fact on May 2nd, the letter was given to Planning Department because I got copied in it and I have a copy of it here. It's not in the package. It was a 3-page document clearly outlining issues that the neighborhood has, as stated in there. Some of them is, what are the heights of the buildings? We don't know what's going on with the buildings. When will the infrastructure be built for these apartment buildings? There's no sidewalks, there's no active transportation pathways. I requested this over a year ago. Still, there's nothing there. There's increased concrete with this. Is there going to be increased parking space for the buildings? So, and as I said, there's no green space. Is there going to be an increased green space if we're going to be adding more units to it? So I strongly oppose this. I'm asking council to do the same for the time being until we can get some answers to some of the questions of the residents out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy?
So as of May 1st, no responses. So that's probably why it's not in the package. In our report, you'll see as of writing this report on May 1st, no responses have been received. So that will, obviously need to get into the public document, even though it didn't meet the deadline. I think it's still important that people see it. As for height requirements, this variance didn't touch on height because it met those requirements. As for the rest of this original Hidden Valley subdivision, because there's many pieces to it, so parts of it have been approved as the actual conceptual plan, and then each time different parts of it will come back for minor variances, major variances. So I'm going to ask David to address your other 3 questions that maybe he'll have answers for this evening, and then we can go from there. I know David's online. So David, are you able to speak to the rest of these questions that Councillor McKinnon has on behalf of the residents in his area?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, through your worship to Councillor McKinnon. With regard to, I'll address parking first. With regard to parking, the developers provided a plan which satisfies the parking requirements, which is 1 space per unit. There's enough land base on each of those lots to achieve the required parking. With respect to the public infrastructure, sidewalks and roads, those are still yet to be completed and then turned over to the city. The developers are preemptively trying to get the variances in place so that they can go ahead with what they're proposing here. As the deputy mentioned, there's no other relief needed outside of density, and the density, the amount of land base can handle the parking that would be needed to accommodate that level of density. And with regard to the parkland question, that would have been already dealt with through our Parks and Rec department when the subdivision was originally stamped and approved by planning. So that parkland piece has already been addressed through the subdivision phase. And I could let our manager of Parks and Recreation expand further on that for the wider parks planning in the area, but I hope that answers all the questions that were asked, Councillor McKinnon.
Councillor McKinnon, do you want to? Sure. Yep, go ahead there, sir.
Yeah, I got to get the numbers right here. So originally, we approved up to 10 units, 10 buildings, 60 units per building,
6 stories high.
6 stories high.
Yep.
So now we're reducing that to 6 buildings by 32 into 3 lots with 64 per lot, correct? Roughly? So we're going to be reducing the number of units from 600 to 192. Will that is this being done on the same amount of land? Like, is there going to be other developments that could potentially happen in that area? Like that would, because we've already said we can put up to 600 units in that area. Is there still other areas to be developed, or is this 192 units going to be done on the area that we originally approved? I can't remember what the area actually was.
Deputy,
So is there going to be, I guess I'm kind of wondering, is that where the development is happening? And is there going to be more potential development coming down? Because some of these numbers are just not adding up for me. I'm just trying to get clarity on them.
Deputy, do you want to take it on? Yep.
So the original subdivision plan that was signed off by the Planning and Heritage Department is still the same subdivision plan. So it's the same land mass, but whether or not they're going to keep developing, I don't know. But maybe our manager knows, or maybe he's still waiting for other applications to come in, but we'll ask David. Yep, if you could address Councillor Beck the rest of that question?
For sure, Deputy. So, through the chair to Councillor Beck, there are still a couple other plots of land or lots in that area which are pending development as well. So the 600 units you spoke to would not be these 3 lots would not account for the entire land mass, I'll call it, that those 600 units were originally envisioned for. There are still a couple other lots in that area that would be available for development, but because on these 3 lots, which represent a substantial amount of that land base, they're proposing to develop 192 units, so that's an increase of 27% from what they would otherwise be allowed to develop based on the density restrictions currently in place. So that's the request through the major variance, is to go from 151 units total up to 192, which would be combined among those 3 lots, and that's about 1/3 of the total 600 for that wider area that was originally envisioned. But there are some other plots of land in that area which would have accounted for that original 600 target that was presented to council not too long ago. I hope that helps answer the question.
Yeah, that's good to know, Dave. So basically then, if this is approved, and say there's 2 more lots, and they come back at a later point in time, we will not approve more than 600 units. So if the next plot of land has a development of another 192 units, and then another 192 units, that still falls within the 600 units that we approved for the lot. So it seems to me it's dicing up the pie a little bit differently than maybe what we had originally approved. But I think at the end of the day, when it concerns this particular plot of land, all 3 of them combined, because they've been subdivided into 3 units, I think we have to be careful to not exceed what we had originally approved. That would be, I guess, my overall point or my overall concern.
Good point, Councillor Beck, which is all the more reason that when the other parcels of land within this subdivision are brought forward for any future development, I think it's really important that we know the whole picture as these return, because we might not see them again for 2 years, which is another council. So I think it's really important that when others are developed, that it is a reminder of that this was the overall subdivision, But, because at the end of the day, there's no guarantee that it's still only going to hit 600. Because if variances come back and changes are asked for, that could happen. So council will need to be aware of what's been there so far. Am I right, David?
Through the chair, that's correct. And in the fullness of time, as we get more applications, we'll make sure that we connect the dots, that we're doing a full accounting for the area, so that we're not running awry of what was originally envisioned, right? So from a overall density and unit count perspective.
Question called? Okay, just press your button. Hold up. Oh, you have to raise your hand. All those in favor? All those against? 8-1. Okay, Councillor McKinnon opposed and Councillor Drawn in conflict. So can someone just call him back in? Next one, sir.
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 3, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that council approve the request to proceed to public consultation concerning a request to rezone the subject property identified as 307 Patterson Drive, PID number 676585, from the low-density residential R-2 zone to the business office commercial C-1 zone in order to harmonize the existing zoning for the two abutting parcels of land registered under the same PID number, 311 and 307 Patterson Drive, containing an existing one-story commercial building, convenience store currently bisected by an existing property boundary.
Please vote. Okay, we'll put it up there. 10-0. Do you want to go to the next one, sir?
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 4, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved the council approve the request to proceed to public consultation concerning a request to rezone the unaddressed subject property identified as PID number 390534 from the Comprehensive Development Area CDA zone to the Shopping Center Commercial C-3 zone, and to rezone the unaddressed subject property identified as PID number 1179670 from the Comprehensive Development Area CDA zone to the Mixed Use Corridor MUC zone in order to facilitate future commercial development on both sites.
Okay, just 1 second. We've got a little problem here. Okay, please vote. Okay, 10-0. Okay,
Planning and Heritage Resolution Number 5, moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe. Let it be resolved that the application submitted by the owner's agent, Kane Arsenault, and supporting traffic study prepared by EXP Group dated 2nd of April 2026 for the development of a drive-through and queuing spaces at PID number 387761 for a McDonald's eating and drinking establishment be accepted.
okay. Please vote. Okay, someone didn't vote. Did you? Good, okay. Okay, good.
Your Worship, we have a second reading of the zoning development bylaw, PH-ZD.2, whereas the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown zoning development bylaw, PH-ZD.2-110, to amend Appendix G, zoning map of the Charlottetown zoning development bylaw from the institutional I zone to the business park industrial N3 zone for the subject property identified as 231 Brackley Point Road, PID number 623090, as attached, was read and approved a first time on April 14, 2026. Be it resolved that the said bylaw be read a second time and approved. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe.
Shall I carry? Okay.
Be it resolved that the said bylaw be adopted. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe.
Shall I pass? Good. Thank you. Got another one there, sir?
We do have another second reading of the zoning development bylaw, PH-ZD.2. Whereas the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown zoning development bylaw, PH-ZD.2-109, to amend Appendix G zoning map of the Charlottetown zoning development bylaw from the downtown mixed-use neighborhood DMUN zone to the downtown Main Street DMS zone for the properties located on King and Dorchester Streets, being PID numbers 336974, 336909, 336917, 336966, and 1172915, as attached, was read and approved the first time on April 14th, 2026. Be resolved that the said bylaw be read a second time and approved. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe.
Shall I carry?
Be it resolved that the said bylaw be adopted. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lanny Yankoff and seconded by Councillor Julie McCabe.
Shall I pass? Good. Hold on, sir. Is that it, Deputy? Thank you very much. Public Works, Councillor Mitchell Tweel. Am I right?
No, environmental.
Oh, I got an old agenda here, do I? Last month's agenda. Yeah. Sorry, environment, please. What happened? Councillor McKinnon, do you want to start?
Thank you, Your Worship. Environment Sustainability Committee met on April 8th and April 28th, 2026. Meeting minutes are in your package. There will be 4 resolutions for your consideration. I'd like to share a couple of notes. There will be 2 planting events taking place in the city wellfields this spring. In partnership with the Winter River Tracadie Bay Watershed Association, 625 native trees and shrubs will be planted on the new land acquired in Brackley last year. This work is funded by Nature Canada. Also, in partnership with the Cornwall and Area Watershed Group, approximately 625 native trees and shrubs will be planted at the Milton Vale Wellfield in a priority area identified as in the site's forestry management plan. It's exciting to see 2 new battery electric mini transit buses in operation. They're with chargers installed and T3 drivers and mechanics have been trained. Each minibus can carry up to 18 passengers. Residents can now see these minibuses in operation on T3's lower ridership routes, particularly in East Royalty and the Stratford midday runs. Charlottetown recorded 114,643 rides in April of 2026, a decrease of approximately 4% over April 2025. This continues to the expected lower ridership level that has been observed this academic year through September due to reduced international student enrollment. And finally, the bike bus program has successfully launched at 3 elementary schools in Charlottetown. Drivers may see the groups of young cyclists rolling to school on Wednesday, Thursday, and Fridays in different neighborhoods. I want to thank all the volunteers, teachers, and parents who make this program possible. Thank you, Your Worship, and we'll try to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Okay. Do you have a resolution there, CAO?
Environment Sustainability Sustainability Resolution Number 1, moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Norman Beck. Let it resolve the council approves providing the newly formed Charlottetown Area Watershed Association with an annual watershed grant of $20,000, previously provided as $10,000 to each of the two separate watershed groups, and that the mayor and the CEO hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Any questions? Questions called? Just press your buttons. Good. 10-0. Next one, sir.
Environment and Sustainability Resolution Number 2, moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Mitchell Tweel. Let it be resolved the council support the city entering into an agreement with the Government of Canada Housing, Infrastructure and Communities Canada for baseline funding as part of the Canada Public Transit Fund, and the council acknowledges the following. Government of Canada funds cover 40% of the total eligible capital expenses and 80% of the eligible non-capital expenses, up to $285,725 per year for 10 years, for a total federal investment of $2,857,250. Matching funds will be provided through municipal budgets, and funds will support transit fleet improvements, including technology such as a modernized fare payment system, automatic passenger counters, automated stop announcements, and an on-demand study. And that the mayor and the CEO hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Question? Question called. All down. 10-0. Answer.
Environment Sustainability Resolution Number 3, moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Mitchell Tweel. Let it resolve the council approves the annual sole source of the Casual Watch platform until 2030 at a cost of $16,800 for the 2026-2007 fiscal year, subject to future annual operating budget approval. And the mayor and the CEO are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Thank you, sir. Questions called? Please vote. Good. Okay, someone didn't vote. You're out with Councillor Tweel? Yay or nay? Yep. Okay, 10-0.
Environment and Sustainability Resolution Number 4, moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Norman Beck. Let it resolve the council pay Trias Transit $89 per hour for the 2025 service expansions until the updated transit agreement is in place or until August 1st, 2026, whichever comes first. And that the mayor and the CEO are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreement to implement this resolution.
Councillor Tweel.
During the committee meeting, I opposed this particular motion. I've since received more information. I'm going to be supporting the resolution. The question I have is, where are we at with respect to the formal agreement that's to be signed by the city of Charlottetown and our partners, the service provider that actually operate the transit here in the city? I believe it was supposed to be, contract was supposed to be signed 2 or 3 months ago. Stand to be corrected on the timelines and timeframes, but just wondering, like, where are we at? I know it's been to the lawyers maybe once or twice. Just wondering why there's a delay.
Councillor McKinnon? Do you want to defer? Okay. Okay. Jessica, please.
Through Mayor Brown to Councillor Tweel. So yes, the goal was to have the agreement to council last month. It is taking longer than we thought. Once like peeling an onion, once you start diving into it, it becomes a little bit more complicated. It did go to legal review once. That legal input was provided to CATCC and the operator last week. Right now, the operator is looking at the legal information and providing comment on their end. So once we hear back from them with their comments, we'll get back together and hopefully formalize the final agreement for council rather quickly.
Councillor Duran?
Thank you, Mayor Brown. I see in the notes it says the expanded service is not getting the fares that the operator would like to see, and that is the reason why he has increased his ask. Before we do this, can we look at maybe reducing the expanded service to get this in line until, you know, the agreement comes to a head? I mean, it just seems that, you know, we always take the risk. We're always jumping in to pay for everything, and, you know, this was an expanded service. It didn't work out, or it doesn't seem to be getting the amount of fares. And then again, here we're asked to up our amount again. We're only a month or two away, or hopefully a month or two away, of getting this agreement in place. I just don't think I'll support this at this time until all the dots and I's are crossed. So, thank you.
Councillor McKinnon, do you want to respond? Do you want to defer it to? Okay, defer it to.
Through
He's made a statement.
Mayor Brown, to Councillor Durand, it's not necessarily that the service expansions aren't working. It's more a matter of it often takes a few years for them to build up ridership in a community. And the neighborhoods that they're serving are newly developed neighborhoods and smaller neighborhoods. And so they're functioning as we would have expected, but it's hard to compare it to like University Avenue, where the buses run every 15 minutes and we get a high number of fares that come in to pay the operator, and less fares coming in those neighborhoods, which is quite common with transit systems. There'll be higher ridership areas and lower ridership areas, but the city might choose to want to service smaller neighborhoods with less riders just for equity reasons and accessibility for students. We heard a lot of communication from students that live in East Royalty that want to get to university by bus, as an example. So the city might choose to do that even though they don't make a lot of profit from that community.
Councillor Duran?
I understand, and that's a great, you know, I appreciate your comments. But in the bottom of the report, it says Trias is requesting this rate increase as fare revenue in expanded areas is low. And they identified that an increase in payment is desired due to new agreement delay. So again, you know, we're very close. We're a month or two. I don't understand why, you know, they would just come and say, listen, we're asking for more money at this time. So, you know, again, I would just like to think that, you know, it's not so easy just to come, you know, to council for money. As the last three resolutions, we've been giving out money. We've been giving out money everywhere. And I just think for being a month or two in the delay, I just don't think this is warranted. So, again, I appreciate your explanation, but I can't support this. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Ramsey?
And I probably should have brought this up earlier. I think I might be in conflict because I have a family member that works for there. So maybe I should not be voting on this.
You're declaring
And I
conflict of interest.
apologize for that,
Yeah,
folks.
that's all right.
But
At least you're calling it out. Yeah. See
Yeah.
you later.
so I believe I'm in a conflict. Conflict. My brother works there,
Yeah.
so I am. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
Okay. Call the question. Okay. Please hit your button. No, you can do it in this too. We can do it in this. Do we have to do a hand vote? Just try it, see what happens. No, it's not working? It may just not show up. Okay. Try it anyway, see what happens. Let's use the technology. It's here. Good? Give us a hand vote. How many in favor? Okay. Let me just, hold on. No, it didn't work. Oh, 7, okay, 7-1. Someone, are you for it? Counselor Twill, yay? Okay, 8-1. Counselor Duran, opposed. And Counselor Ramsey in conflict. Is that the report, Counselor? Good. Thank you. Okay, going back to the agenda. Next one is finance, audit, tendering, and administration. Counselor. Okay, Counselor McAleer, you're just finding your notes?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Brown. The Finance Audit Tender and Administration Committee met on Wednesday, May 6th, for its regular meeting. The draft minutes are in your package. There's no resolutions for your consideration. If there's any questions, myself or Manager Amy is here to answer them if we can. Thank you.
Counselor Twill.
Thank you for your report, Councilor McAleer. I have a question regarding the process when it comes to tenders. And I'm looking for an understanding as to how the process works. The question is, when bid packages go out and staff have done their due diligence, saying, well, a job of this nature, this magnitude could cost $100,000 or $150,000 or $180,000, is there a ceiling floor that requires the city, from an overall generic or from a perspective, is there a ceiling floor that the city must receive in order for the project to be viable? For example, let's say they come in and said, well, this project, staff are kicking around numbers, they're doing their due diligence internally. And let's say they figure that project's gonna cost about, say, we gotta get at least 80,000, for example. And then if a company comes in and says, well, we're gonna lowball it, and usually the city goes with the lowest tender, even though it's advertised that we don't necessarily go with the lowest tender, but 9 times out of 10, the city goes with the lowest tender. So is there a ceiling floor, a benchmark, that the city has to receive, even though it's the lowest tender? For example, if the staff internally are saying, well, it's 80,000, and then a company comes in, say we're going to provide that service, but the bid we're going to submit is 40,000. So that's the question I have. Is there a ceiling floor that the city must receive in order for the project to be viable, to get a return on the investment? Just wondering about a ceiling floor.
Counselor McAleer.
Thank you, Councillor Twill, for your question. It's a hypothetical question. I'm not sure I can give you, an answer, or there is an answer to it. Other than, of course, we're familiar with, we've recently passed procurement bylaw, we have procurement officer. I know there's thresholds around, there's criteria in there for the local thing. But as it relates to the example or that you're driving at, I'm not familiar with there being any process around that, around your question.
Councillor McAleer, that's one of 4 or 5 criterions that used in the evaluation of the tender, right? Price, equipment, it's a lot of, right?
Yeah, there is, and unless Councillor Twill, I can defer to our manager, Amy, if she has a different, I guess, a different explanation or interpretation or thought on that.
Amy?
Thank you, Your Worship, through to Councillor Twill, as well to the Chair of the Finance Committee. There is no set floor or ceiling for procurement. It really depends on the project. There is financial analysis done as part of the procurement process, which is the evaluation of the pricing that the bidder submits. Like His Worship has said, there's various factors when we evaluate. Again, each are different depending on what the RFP is for, whether it's equipment, timelines, anything like that. And usually each section is weighted depending on what we think is important when it comes down to the bid, but obviously pricing is always a factor. So I can't really give you a ceiling or a floor. It just kind of depends on each project that we're looking to evaluate. It changes all the time.
Councillor Tarrant? Can you come up right after him? Councillor Tarrant?
Thank you, and thank you for your report, Councillor McAleer. Can I get a printout of what we've paid in grants this year out of this year's budget? I know when we sat down, we decided, okay, we agree to this many grants, but some of them were going to come later. So just like today, we did, a couple of things. And in the minutes of the finance meeting, you yourself, Mayor Brown, asked about the increase in the water and sewer. I mean, we didn't meet last month, so I don't know where that's coming from. So I guess we agreed on a lot of grants this year, but we didn't get the final tally of where we're at. So I would appreciate if I could get that, and maybe all of council, so we know where we're at with that. Thank you.
Councillor McAleer?
No, thank you, Councillor Drong, for that and bringing that back before council here this evening. And I do believe in this year's budgeting process there was a bit of a change in how that the grant piece was allocated. But perhaps can have maybe the either Amy or the CAO just comment on how that was handled this year. I think we certainly can come back, will have to come back, should come back with more detail on the allocation of those grant requests and how and who will be getting what.
Amy?
Yep. Your Worship, through to both Councillor Duran and Councillor McAleer. We do have a compiled list of applicants for the grants. We haven't actually said yes or no to any of them yet. It's very much in the evaluation phase, simply because of myself being in the position, learning the process, and just making sure that we have enough people evaluating that it's fair and even. So we've compiled the information. We haven't met yet to do the overall evaluation. So once we have picked who the recipients will be, we will definitely share that with council.
Councillor Twill? And Deputy.
So when a department goes out and embarks upon a process, from a financial perspective, there is no ceiling floor. For example, if they figure the project's going to cost $80,000, company comes in and says, well, we can do the job for 40. We can submit the rationale why we believe we can do the job. There is no ceiling floor, as I understand it. That's the follow-up question, and I do have a question on the committee report.
Through to His Worship, through to Councillor Twill. So yes, to clarify on that, I guess there would be a ceiling in the fact that we have a budgeted amount. So for instance, if we were going to budget for I don't know, like office cleaning, we would have a budgeted line of a set amount. That would be our ceiling. And then obviously we would have that in mind when we go to market. Depending on what the pricing comes back, things may have changed where we might actually have to look at increasing our budget if all of the pricing comes back and is higher. So there's no set amount for each item, but it is very much tied to the budget, if that answers your question.
Deputy? No, can I go with the deputy first? Jeez.
I just wanted to circle back on the grants, and I'm pretty sure that in our budget discussions, that it was also talked about that whatever money that was approved in there, I don't recall the exact amount, but there's 3 opportunities, I thought, three times a year that people can apply. Amy, if you don't mind reminding me those 3 times of the year, that there's 3 sets of deadlines that people can get an application through your department and apply.
Through His Worship to Deputy Mayor, yes, you are correct. There is 3 times to apply. 2 of the deadlines reside with economic development specific grants. Those, I believe, the applications are in September and again in the spring. In the overall grants that sit within the finance budget, I believe the deadline for those is November 30th. So that one's just a one time a year. Economic development is 2.
So if somebody was applying for a grant in lieu of tax, sometimes I see those under economic development. I know when I ran the guild, that's where that money came from. But, so what happens if somebody wants to apply for a grant in lieu of tax? Does that now fall under your department?
His Worship through to Deputy Mayor. Yes and no. I guess that's kind of where I'm still a little fuzzy, is that there is some, I believe, the arts, the Guild one resides in economic development because of the culture aspect of it, whereas if some other ones, such as maybe like the Boys and Girls Club, would reside under finance because it's not deemed towards the culture aspect, and that's not how it's evaluated on our end. Again, still learning more about this grant process, but it's not clearly defined why it sits, one sits with finance and one sits with economic development.
Councillor McAleer?
Yeah, just a comment again, just back to Councillor Tweel and some of your general questions there around. I'd like to think that that perhaps some of those points or things perhaps you were trying to raise or understand maybe gets better, some of those indirectly get addressed through having Sherry McNeil as our procurement officer and how those tenders are put together and what's in them and how they're critiqued out lends itself to addressing some of the concerns you may have.
Councillor Tweel?
Now, if you look at the report under item 6, discussions and reports, PW, Public Works Transfer, Albert Gashi, Manager of Public Works, couldn't attend the report presented by Rich McEwen. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but was this discussed at the Public Works Committee, these transfers? Or was this brought directly to the, it was discussed? So we approved that by motion?
His Worship through to Councillor Tweel. There was a late change in the budget transfer and the fact that what was approved by the Public Works Committee was actually higher than what was needed when it came time to actually do the transfer. So you guys approved, I believe it was originally 80,000 and the new revised one was quite a bit lower.
Was it 12?
It was 12, yeah.
12,000. Okay, and I want to reiterate the same request that was made here about grants. Some grants were made from a generic perspective, and then some departments also approve grants. And there's supposed to be, as I understand it, a criteria when it comes to approving grants. Last year, we had a lot of discussion about grants. We looked at the possibilities of the reduction of some of the grants. We never really got into it during the budget process, but nonetheless, we hand out grants to different organizations. I don't know if the checks and balances are in place, or those checks and balances had, whether or not they were looked at to see, what the rationale is for the request, how much money they have in their own respective organization, whether in fact financial statements are submitted to the city because of these requests. It just seems that we're giving out more and more money, yet when it comes to, cities' operations, we certainly, you got to go through a rigorous process. I'm just not so sure, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if we go through the same rigorous process when it comes to handing out grants.
To His Worship through to Councillor Twill. I can tell you that we do have what I would describe as a decision matrix where we apply the same kind of criteria for each application. That criteria does ask that they submit financial statements. If no financial statements are presented, obviously that impacts their score. We also look at if it's going to be going towards operational versus project-based, as we don't necessarily want the grants to become something that they depend on. We look at, does it contribute to like economic development within the city? Is it going to draw people in? Is it going to support, is it open to everybody in the city? Is there any barriers to accessing this program? There's probably at least 12 different things that we evaluate them on. And then we also factor into, did they receive funding in the past? Because we obviously want to make this applicable to everybody or reach as many people as possible. So again, this is all based on their application. We fill in the decision matrix, and that kind of generates a score, and then we'll sit down and have that discussion and review them individually to see if there's anything else we're missing. So that's what we haven't done yet as a senior leadership, and when we do that, that will kind of be the final decision on who will be receiving funding for this year.
And Councillor Duran, I did correct that 42 million of 60 million. That was the 42,000 that we had a presentation from the Winter River, and I think we agreed. That's all I keep bringing up. But it wasn't 42 million. Okay, thank you, Councillor McAleer. Councillor Beck, Human Resources? Is that correct? Yeah.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. Human Resource Committee met on yesterday, and the revised package was sent out to you. There are no resolutions for your consideration, but I did want to bring up one item that did come up for discussion at our committee meeting, and that was the creation of a CAO bylaw. And when we talked about it at the committee level meeting, we wanted to look at it to see if there was, bring it to council to see if there was an interest in exploring the creation of a specific bylaw. I did have the opportunity to send out some samples of other municipalities that have them, just to kind of give you a bit of an idea of what they could potentially look like, or what one could potentially look like. So basically the kind of the rationale, I guess, for it was to provide some clarity around the tasks associated with being the CAO, the expectations of our CAO, who is council's only employee, and to look at maybe a little bit more clearly delineating what we are looking for in the role, not specifically with this particular CAO, but with all particular CAOs, and have a bit of an understanding of where the responsibilities lie, who would be responsible for undertaking which activities within the corporation. So it was really brought up just to have a discussion starter, and the purpose was we're not coming forth with anything here. Basically, the purpose of the discussion was to see if there was interest on the part of council to pursue this further, And if so, then we could figure out where that would end up, who would undertake the responsibility for that, and what steps would be followed at that time. So basically, it's just at this point in time, if it's okay, Your Worship, to entertain a discussion on that and to see if there's interest and amongst council members and to have a discussion about that. So I would open the floor maybe to people who had any questions or comments, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
Councillor Bernard? Want to go?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor Beck. I did get your emails you sent this afternoon. Can't say I'm against it or anything. I'm just wondering, when I read through what you sent, it looks like it's a copy and paste from the MGA. So I don't know, although it's December 2021, the MGA, I think, was updated in 2023. I'm just wondering, is there anything more in this that wouldn't be in our MGA? Actually, you know what? I have the MGA here. I don't know what section that would be in now. Anyway, was that talked about at all, Councillor Beck, whether what was in this is in the MGA? Because that's what it looks like they copied and pasted on both of them that I look at. And it talks about the MGA within the language. What's that? What page is that?
I could respond to that.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so the duties of the chief administrative officers are all there, the authority of the chief administrative officer, the responsibilities of the chief administrative officer. So was there something else you were looking to put in this? Because to me, it's laid out. I think that's what I've seen in these two, both from both municipalities. And then the performance evaluation template, I think we talked about that in the CAO evaluation committee. That's the possibility. We're going to wait till the evaluation was done, and then we're going to have that meeting to see if there's something we want to move forward with, because that template seems to change. But I'm just wondering, as far as a bylaw, like, does the MGA not suffice? Is there a reason you want to have a bylaw?
Councillor Beck?
Yep. You are correct, Councillor Bernard. Much like a lot of the bylaws that we have, if you look at our procedural bylaw, a large part of the wording comes from the MGA. If you look at our code of conduct bylaw that we have within the corporation, that comes from the MGA. You cannot change the wording that comes from the MGA. So if there's something in there that is in the MGA, that would have to be incorporated directly into. If you look at some of the...
You can, if it's stronger.
Yes, you
Yeah.
cannot reduce.
You can't go below what, you
Exactly.
can't go
Thank
below.
you for that
Which is what we
clarification.
did, yeah.
Yeah, so if the wording is there, it has to come in word for word, and you cannot reduce or, but what you can do, and what has happened with the examples that I gave you, is there were some specific, like, I'll give you an example. One was going to the performance management. There was a separate link that goes with that one bylaw that guides the whole performance management process. So that is a separate policy. One community does that, the other community builds it and incorporates it directly into the bylaw itself. So we could tailor it to whichever way we wanted it for Charlottetown to be. It could be that the bylaw would be the minimum language that's in the MGA, and that is okay. If you go back to our procedural bylaw, we made some changes. Just an example about education sessions. Or the one about where Councillor Matar went back and we changed it, we go 3 times to speak, that sort of thing. So you have to do the minimum, but you can enhance it if you want. So if we were to look at it, we could tailor it to make it Charlottetown specific. And if we wanted to go down that road, extract what has to be extracted from the MGA, incorporate that as the foundational pieces of the bylaw, and then if there are things that we as a group want to add or further delineate within the bylaw, we would have the ability to do so.
Okay. I'd have to read it more, I guess. I just don't know what else we would add that's not already there, but I guess it's a discussion you want to have. Is there anything particular you want to add?
I'm not looking to add anything in particular. I'm looking to have a discussion.
Okay.
So if there are people that, if we're in the process of creating this, if people do have ideas about what the bylaw could possibly look like, we could have that discussion.
Okay.
So I'm not coming here with any particular, at this point in time, I'm trying to figure out, based on the discussion that we had at the committee level where Councillor McCabe and Councillor McKinnon and I were talking, that we wanted to bring it forth to see if there was an appetite on the part of council. Because we're three members who are partially responsible for the CAO position. So we wanted to have that discussion with everybody and bring it forth as a consideration and just to get council's feel at this point in time. Is there an appetite for pursuing it? And if we are willing to pursue it, figure out what's the path forward, where does it land, who undertakes the work to craft a draft bylaw, which would again come back to council for our consideration and go through all those normal processes that are involved. So at this point in time, it's really, it's a starting point of a conversation and saying do we want to go somewhere with it? And if we do want to go somewhere with it, where does it go? Who'll undertake that legwork?
Okay. Deputy?
Thank you. I think that, any conversation the council wants to have is always healthy. But I also want to remind everyone, we've got 5.5 months left before the election. And we've got a zoning and development bylaw. We have a heritage preservation bylaw. We have a parking strategy to deal with. We have a list of bylaws that are being worked on by Melanie that still haven't completed yet. And I'm just worried that we're going to add something else, and then all of a sudden come November, we've completed nothing. So that's the only thing I just would rather keep our focus. I understand and recognize it's a completely different department, but it's still council work at the end of the day. So that's my 2 cents worth. So, I'll respect whatever council decides, but that's where I'm at with it right now.
Okay, Councillor Beck, let's wrap it up.
Not looking for an answer tomorrow. It's really looking to see, at this point, again, I want to reiterate, is this something that we want to invest time into? And if there is no collective desire to invest time into it, the conversation ends.
Yeah.
And if there is interest, we can add it to the list of other bylaws that are being updated. We do have Melanie, who's doing fantastic work here with our city corporation since she's come on. If it falls under Melanie's responsibility, I don't know where it would fall at this point in time. And I think that was part of the discussion we had the other day. We were kind of unsure as to where it could potentially end up. But I think, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. It's really at this point in time saying, is this something that we want to put on the docket to pursue? Whether it's 6 months down the road, 2 months down the road, whatever it might be.
Okay, Councillor Twill.
Thank you, Councillor Beck, for your report. A couple of months ago, I brought up about the agreement with QP 501. I believe there was an agreement reached with QP 501 back in January. And then I believe that it was back and forth with the lawyers. one of the issues that I keep being asked, and I've consistently asked over the last couple of months, it's the back pay for the workers. That's for the seasonal workers, full-time workers. As you know, we're living in very financial challenging times, and looking for a time frame and timeline as to when the back pay will be totally paid to the workers, seasonal, full-time workers, any of the workers for that matter. Again, I've been stopped on a number of occasions, had those questions put to me. I did contact our CAO a few weeks ago, looking for an update. So can we get a response to the workforce as to when the total amount will be paid? That's both seasonal and full-time workers.
Councillor Beck.
Thank you.
I'll defer that to Emily. Are you okay taking the question? Thank you.
Through the chair to Councillor Tweel. I've had many discussions with both the mayor, the CAO, and staff. The contract was not signed until April 2nd. And on that date, we did make a commitment to have that paid within 60 days. There is no time frame outlined in the QP 501 agreement for retro pay, but we did commit to 60 days, which would take us to June 1st. The calculations are actively being prepared. It's a long, detailed process. It includes regular overtime acting, double time pay. We have to look at union due percentages, retro on pension, so it's not a simple calculation. I would say they are finalizing those amounts, and they will be paid before the end of the month.
Fine, before the end of May? So the total amount to all the workers will be paid. That's both seasonal and that's both full-time. I understand the challenges that you have to work with. Again, I just wanted to reiterate from their perspective, because I know a lot of the workers in QP 501, and they asked the questions. And I said, well, I'll do my best to try to get some answers for you. I did try to, I reached out to our CAO. He said he would look into it as well. Again, I'll reiterate, we're living in very challenging financial times, and particularly our seasonal workers, they've got financial commitments. And I said I would do my best to help them out.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So again, it will be,
I just wanted to make a correction. So the next permanent pay would be the 21st of May.
Yeah.
So that is when we're hopeful to get the permanent payout. The next seasonal pay wouldn't be until June 4th, so that would be the date.
so June 4th, that'll be completely paid up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just wondering if we could revert back to the conversation that we were having previous to this, so that we can get some resolve to whether or not we're going to move forward with the potential CAO bylaw. That's all. Just want to go back to that. I didn't want to think we finished, because I don't know if we're continuing or not.
Well, the way I look at it is that council hires, council fires, so it always comes back to council to make that decision. So that's where I've been at.
For me, and I think Councillor Beck, explained, and it kind of, the MGA, taken in what Councillor Bernard said, is our overarching, for all municipalities across Prince Edward Island.
Yeah.
What a CAO bylaw would do would make it more specific to what we have at the city of Charlottetown.
Yeah.
And as he said, it's not something we need to do right today, but I think it's discussion for the role of that area to have some discussion. We're the only municipality. Summerside has one, Stratford has one, Charlottetown doesn't. So I guess if we're not going to, why wouldn't we?
Municipalities for me are police, fire, public works, parks and recreation. Whether it's tailored to Charlottetown being the capital or being the birthplace of a nation compared to Summerside or Three Rivers, I think we have one duty that falls in the MGA. We have one hire, and we have one hire that is part of the evaluation. The evaluation always comes back to us. Councilor Bernard and Councilman,
I was just going to say, I think Councilor Yankoff made it clear of all the work we have left to do. I'm just, like I say, that's why I asked the questions earlier. I'm not sure what it is we're looking for that's not stated in the MGA. We've always used the MGA as a guide. It's worked out. I mean, I'm prepared to have a conversation. It's just a matter of when, but I do think we have a lot of stuff on our plate now.
Councilor Petard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just on that, as you were speaking, you indicated we have one duty. I think there's more to it than just having one duty. We don't just hire the CAO. I think this is an opportunity when I read over, for instance, Stratford's CAO bylaw, it does take it to another level of fleshing out in more detail the responsibilities of both the CAO and council working together. And their highlight of that is regarding the appointment of it, for instance. So I don't know anywhere where we have the actual official steps that we take to appoint the CAO. Maybe we've done a certain way, doesn't make it official. Authority, accountability, et cetera. So there's a number of things here that allow us to kind of outline in detail. Like if a new council was coming in, we could hand over the CAO bylaw and say, this is how we operate within these confines. To say we have one thing in the MGA that says what we do for the CAO, I think that's pretty broad, or it's not broad. I guess it's not broad enough to know and interpret things. So we can make things up as we go along. Is what would that might result in. I don't think there's any harm in looking at it. When I look at the Stratford one and the Summerside one, I think there's a clear delineation between what the MGA says. That's the foundation and the base that we're at the minimum guided by. But this fleshes it out in more detail and allows us to have that understood by the CAO and council in a format that's understood and can be followed. I don't think there's any harm in looking at that in any way, shape, or form, and I would welcome that opportunity to do so.
Councilor Beck.
Yeah, I was just going to certainly support what Councillor Matart said there. I think what happens, and the first one, when the first hiring process went through, I really didn't understand how the process worked. Being a little bit more closely connected to this one through the hiring of our current CAO at the time and working through the Performance Evaluation Management Committee, I think if not only for this council, but as Councillor Matart said, for future councils to understand, here's what we do. If we have an opening in the CAO position, this is the process. And in those two instances that are outlined, the process is clearly established. So there's no kind of, how do we do it? What goes on? What's the playbook? So it's not just simply stating, we hire or fire, whatever it is. There's more to it than that. And I think clearly understanding, having a Charlottetown-specific bylaw related to that helps in the clarity, helps in the understanding of council, helps in the understanding of the CAO, helps in the understanding of residents who are saying, what does our CAO do? Right? So it can help in terms of, and it would help potentially, as Councillor McKinnon even mentioned at the meeting, someone's looking at the role, what's involved, what sort of things do they do, what's it look like as the CAO of Charlottetown. So yeah. I think it's certainly worth looking, exploring to see what we could create, and so I would hope that there would be an appetite.
Councillor McLear.
Yeah, just my 2 cents on this. In the meantime, where we go with it, I guess, remains to be seen. But I think in the meantime, myself, I'll be looking at looking at the MGA again, looking at the examples of reference Summerside and Stratford's has been mentioned. Look at that. Look at the CAO bylaws that they have. Look at the MGA and see if I feel there's maybe any value can be brought to it myself, and maybe some others perhaps should do that. I mean, I know it's I know Councillor McCabe, Beck, and Matard are, have, I think, have a push for this, and the rest of us maybe in the meantime can go away and decide, what we want to do with it in terms of progressing or status quo.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Ramsey.
Thank you for that, Councillor Beck. And you keep saying we're going to discuss it at a later date, but as the Deputy Mayor said, there's not a whole lot of time on the agenda left here before the next election. Did you have a time that you would like to look at this from all of council? And if not, well, maybe if it's going to be delayed, maybe with the new council, maybe they can take it upon themselves to look into it. I don't know. Is there a time date for this that you're willing to look at this? Or we're willing to look at it? I'm sorry, I said you.
I don't have any timeline. I didn't come here saying we had to do it.
So what are you looking for tonight?
I want to see if people want to discuss it further.
And send it to a committee.
And send it and land it somewhere. I don't have any timelines. I don't have any particular agenda items. I'm trying to give you food for thought.
Yeah.
Trying to say, is this something that we want to explore? And rather than just kind of giving a generic sort of concept, tried to provide some concrete examples of what it could potentially look like. What does it have to look like? Would it have to look like that for Charlottetown? No. Charlottetown can create its own, whatever it may choose to do. Or, if there's not a collective will to do that, to not go any further.
Yep.
So, to answer your question, I don't have a timeline on it. The immediate thing why we wanted to bring it here tonight was to see if there's an appetite to continue to have the discussion, land it in an area that would undertake the work to bring it back to us as a potential bylaw.
There is a template in the MGA. There is a template for the Town of Stratford, Section 12, Performance Management. Section 12, subsection 3, the CAO Evaluation Committee shall conduct a review of the performance of the Chief Administrative Officer annually using the process and evaluation template in Appendix A. Well, we hire professional firms to do that evaluation, and we get good value for our money. And then it comes back to council, and we have that discussion. So committee, to me, is council. That's what it is to me. Councilor Bernard.
Yeah, this is my last comment, Your Worship, on this. It's in the MGA, it's also an elected official's responsibility to hire a CAO, so it's in there. That's why I was asking, was there anything particular you wanted to add to it? Like, where I'm kind of lost, Norman, is I don't mind sitting down and meeting and talk about it. I just trying to figure out what is it we want to add that's not already in the MGA. That's where I'm having trouble. When I read through the ones you sent to me, it's basically copy and paste from the MGA. So, but I mean, you know what? I'm open to sit down and have a discussion. We could take it to
Okay.
one
Councilor
of the
McCabe.
committees.
Thank you. I'll give you an example. So again, our CAO here at the City of Charlottetown, I'm guessing there's a few more responsibilities to his duty than the CAO for the community of York. Okay, so our MGA governs all of the municipalities in Prince Edward Island. In our MGA, the responsibilities as Chief Administrative Officer, if you look at the last point under O, other duties assigned to the Chief Administrative Officer by council are carried out. So what are they? What
You asking me?
Yeah, well, I'm asking somebody because I don't know what they are.
Well, I know what I look at in the MGA under Section 93.
Yeah,
That
that's
covers
where I
a
am.
lot of, covers a lot
Yeah,
of
it does. But it's not-
responsibilities.
what the bylaw would do would break it down for what does that mean for Charlottetown.
And I want to make it quite clear,
Mm-hmm.
our CAO is doing that job when I look through the MGA.
No, but
section.
it's not about
No,
our
no, I'm
CA.
not, whoa,
Excuse me,
whoa,
you're
whoa.
missing the
No,
point.
no,
No,
I'm
Your
not
Worship.
missing the point. I'm
Yes, you
just
are
telling
missing
you,
the point,
I'm
Your
referring to
Worship.
Section 93.
I am too.
And I'm quite
Yep.
clear in that the job's being done, he's meeting those criterion.
Okay, I guess when I'm looking at it, I'm saying I'm not talking about our current, I'm talking about any CAO. As a council, what do we expect those duties to be clearly defined? I'm not talking about our specific CAO. I'm talking about, we weren't talking about our specific CAO. And if you look at
Well, if we're
Stratford's,
making up a CAO
oh my gosh.
performance evaluation, it's about our CAO, is it not?
No, it's about the position of the CAO.
Well, that's
It's about
same thing.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Okay. Councillor Beck?
It's not about, it's
Yeah.
not
You
about,
can't talk about the person without the position.
I'm not talking about, we're not talking about Brad McConnell here. We're talking about the position, we're talking about if it applies to this council or future councils, whatever it may be. It's not about a snapshot in time. It's about putting in place some parameters for current council and for future council. That's all it is. It's not, yeah, so
Yeah.
that people understand.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
what it is. It's not about
That's-
here and now.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, but again, all I'm saying is that the Municipal Government Act was only passed in 2017. There have been changes to it. If we, Councillor McCabe, if we want to add more to it, then we add that through the MGA. We make those amendments requests through the MGA, and then it covers all communities.
But we can't be the same as other communities.
Anyways, I will let you finish it up.
Yeah. Yeah, just to that point, I want to reiterate, we're not taking away from the MGA.
Well, no, you can't.
We can't. But what you can do is you can outline specific processes for Charlottetown. So I'll give you an example. I could give you one example, might be, what do we do? Do we enshrine? You were mentioning earlier that what we do is we go and we hire an external
Reviewer or
company to
evaluator.
come in and do that. Where is that written?
It's past practice, so it's convention.
Oh, you're answering my question. Where is it written? Nowhere.
I think,
It's not written anywhere, and that's kind of the that would just be an example. We don't have an enshrined practice. We don't have something that's sitting there and saying, so it's not like we have to reinvent a whole bunch of things. I think what we have to do is get them into a concrete format so that people understand what we do with it and how we do it. If something happens, heaven forbid, if something, our CAO does, we have to find a new one, here's what we do. And it's that sort of thing, I think, that the Charlottetown-specific bylaw could achieve. So that's kind of that's where it's a little different than just the wording that's in the MGA. The wording that's in the MGA, much like our other bylaws, code of conduct, procedural bylaw, a lot of that wording's coming right in.
Yep.
Would be in there, has to be, right? The duties aren't, what's prescribed in there would be imported into it. The question that we would have is, what do we add? Is there anything else that wants to be changed or added into it? So that's really what the discussion would be about for current and future.
Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not going to spend much time, but as we talked about yesterday, I feel it's the same. We're not specifically speaking about Brad, we're speaking about the role. So when the CAO moves on, somebody from British Columbia wants to apply, they can pick up this bylaw and see that, okay, this is what is expected of me. So I just think it's a good opportunity for us to put this in place. Can we just at last have a straw vote to see if we can carry on with this discussion, or is it going to go dead in the water?
Well, I think Councillor Bernard
No,
is-
can I just?
Yeah, no, there's no vote. We're not going to have, it has to be a
can't have a straw
resolution.
vote.
All I want to tell you, Councillor McKinnon, if someone wants to look up the job, they'll look in our Municipal Government Act and they'll find the duties that the CAO would be responsible for. Or the job description. We put that out in the job description. I think that the process is there. It's just that it's an enhancement, what I just feel that we've discussed numerous times. We keep coming back to it.
10 of us hire and fire this, but you're taking away the opportunity for us to have this discussion because your opinion says that we can't do this little straw vote.
Well, you don't take straw votes on resolutions.
We just want to know if we can carry on the conversation. That's all we're asking, but you seem like you're taking that away from
Well,
us.
if there's a procedure here, we have a procedural bylaw. So if the Standing Committee for Human Resources wants to forward a resolution for the next council meeting, then let that be. Anyways, could we move on?
I just wanted,
Yep.
if you could just clarify that, because I think that's what we didn't know what the process would be. That's why we brought it here for discussion. Like, unfortunately, you and Brad weren't at the last meeting because
No.
of previous commitments. I understand
was.
that.
Yes, I
I
was.
understand that. So it was just one of an unfortunate circumstance.
But it was added as new business, correct?
It was,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay, I didn't know it was on the agenda.
Yeah, so anyway, so that's kind of what I should stand up, sorry. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Where does, if there's a desire to do it, where does it go? What does it do? So I guess first of all is, do we want to pursue it? That's the first order of
You go back to your
business.
committee and suggest a recommendation, a
But we are,
resolution.
well, we're,
Yes, it is. It's human resources.
so what do you, okay, so what is the next step?
Okay,
What has to happen?
Just not go back to
just have a seat.
Counselor Beck, I think you have two options. You either take it back to your committee because it's HR related, or you bring forward a notice of motion. I think those are the two options that we have in order to get it on council floor to actually have a resolution to vote. So those are our two options. And so let that fall where it may.
Okay, so a notice of motion requires, correct? Can you
That
just-
would have to come at the next regular meeting of council.
There we are. Okay, good. Again, Councillor McKinnon, I'm not trying to draw the rules here. There is a procedural bylaw. If we start one straw vote, there'll be lots of straw votes. And I don't like straw. Go ahead.
I think it was already said, but anyway. I was just gonna say, that's why it's nice to bring something back with the ask. So if there's things you guys want discussed in the HR and you're suggesting that maybe why you want to bring in this bylaw, just have some meat in it of what it is you want to add to it. Right, that's why it's going back to your committee and discuss that, yeah.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Strategic Priorities Communication and Intergovernmental Cooperation Committee did not meet since our last regular meeting of council, so therefore there are no resolutions, no report for your consideration. If there's any questions relating to the previous meeting or anything outside of what's in here, I'll do my best to answer those for you. Thank you.
Councillor McKay?
Yep, we met as a Protective and Emergency Services Committee meeting, on May the 12th. We do not have any resolutions, but we do have a first reading to amend the horse-drawn and rickshaw vehicle bylaw to include electric pulls. So if there's any questions, I will do my best to answer.
CAO, you want to read her off there, buddy? This is second reading.
No, it's the first reading, Your Worship. The purpose, City of Charlottetown horse-drawn and rickshaw vehicle bylaw, amendment bylaw 2018-10-A. Purpose of this bylaw is to amend the City of Charlottetown horse-drawn and rickshaw vehicle bylaw to reference power-assisted bicycles, as well as the Municipal Government Act of PEI and the City of Charlottetown's Enforcement and Summary Proceedings bylaw. Update Schedule A for clarity, correct formatting, typographical, and minor text corrections to ensure overall consistency throughout the bylaw. First reading, let it be resolved that the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown horse-drawn and rickshaw vehicle bylaw number 2018-10 be read a first time, moved by Councillor Julie McCabe and seconded by Councillor Kevin Ramsey.
Okay, so this is first reading. If you wish to debate it, you can. Can't do it in the second. Okay?
Let it be resolved that the bylaw now be approved as a city bylaw and that it be entitled the City of Charlottetown Horse-Drawn and Rickshaw Vehicle Bylaw, number 2018-10, and to be read a second time at the next public meeting of council, moved by Councillor Julie McCabe and seconded by Councillor Kevin Ramsey.
Shall I carry? Yes. Good. So it's 8-0 with councillors. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Can I just ask a
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I was trying to get geared up there and I missed the opportunity to ask a question just
No, you-
regarding to the chair. So Chair, as I was reading through the report, I wanted to just kind of get a little clarification around the nuisance bylaw and the amendments that are being proposed here. And so I just want to understand if I want to know if I understand correctly. So are we looking at including prohibiting the feeding of wild birds and animals into this particular bylaw? And I guess where I'm confused about this, I'm not sure what's considered a wild bird, and how many people are feeding wild birds in their backyards and stuff. And then wild animals. So I'm outside of, I guess, foxes and coyotes might be the only thing that I suspect people are feeding. I hope people aren't feeding skunks and other rodent type of animals. So I'm not sure, and then how are we going to enforce this and this bylaw? Like, and what about people who, I know I did watch your committee meeting and there was mention of certain types of birds that people put bird baths out and bird feeders and so on and so forth. So I guess I'm a bit perplexed as to what this includes when we talk about wild birds, and maybe I can understand the animal component of it from the perspective of foxes, possibly, maybe coyotes. Can you enlighten me, please, on what this is? And
Thanks. Yeah, we were a little confused at committee too, I think. Crows would be a big one, so people tend to throw out loaves of bread for their crows. And then what happens, it gives our bylaw, with nothing in a bylaw, it really makes it hard for our bylaw officer to deal with the situation. So we did have a lot of discussion at our committee. It was definitely confusing and way too wordy, so we had deferred it at that point, and I understand that there will be a new separate piece, a bylaw coming to our committee on Tuesday of next week that will deal with just this. So it's not going to go under unsightly, I don't think. So I can't really give you much more information than that, but do you want to add something to it? You do? Go ahead. But we're going to see something on Tuesday that's a little bit more clear.
What about pigeons?
Your worship, through the chair to Councillor Matart, we did bring that up at the Protective Service Committee meeting. We had a robust discussion on it, and it was decided by the chair of the committee, plus the other members, that more work needed to be done on it, which is going back to the bylaw officer, and he will review it and possibly bring it back to committee. It will not be brought back to committee this Tuesday. It's going to need a lot more time than that.
Just kind of building on the bird conversation and the animals. I think, not to put Councillor McKinnon on the spot here, but the province of PEI has a department that does this stuff with animals. What's it called? Like animals and protection and fish and wildlife. So are we not kind of getting into someone else's lane? Or am I missing something? I know, yeah, so if, it's kind of like with, when we look at our other departments, I mean, we don't want to reinvent the wheel or the hamster wheel if we're talking animals, but, and I'm not making fun, I'm not making light of this. I know there's a problem, I get that. But I just wondered if this should not be something that a conversation is had with the province to make, like, that maybe that's already being done. And so how weighted is our bylaw actually going to be if it's not going to supersede the provincial act? Anyways, that's all I got.
Thank you, Deputy. Our bylaw, you're right, it won't supersede any law because there is no law for feeding wildlife. It's a recommended practice across the province. Stratford has tried to ask for people to stop feeding the wildlife. The province has asked. They have put out notices for people to stop feeding the birds or they ask people to stop feeding the birds because of viruses and things like that. But our bylaw is not going to, who's going to enforce this if somebody throws out a loaf of bread? So I really don't think it's going to happen.
I thought Councillor he's in the queue.
It's funny, when I was reading this, I recalled an incident that I had a few years ago, so I can see why it's there, if you haven't experienced it. I think I would call it extreme feeding. We had a situation probably 3 years ago now, where there's a person in an apartment building and they had 22 bird feeders out, and they were buying bags of feed and pouring it into on the parking lot and by the trees. So, yeah, you were feeding birds, and then you were feeding mice, and you were feeding rats, and then you were feeding the foxes. And it was just out of hand. And all the cars in the parking lots were parking there were covered in bird mess. So who do we call? Our bylaw officer. Try and deal with it. He's trying to deal with these things. Now, eventually, this lady was evicted from your apartment building because she wouldn't stop. But as far as our bylaw officer, he does need something to be able to rectify that. But I know this, I call it extreme feeding. You go in there and you talk about crows, seagulls. There was just, you go up the street and there were just massive seagulls waiting for all this feed. So, to me, it's extreme feeding. Has it happened before? Yep. Is it happening again? Yeah. So I think your bylaw will probably have the wording of extreme feeding. Yeah.
And that is, can I just?
Yes, you
'cause
can.
I think
Yeah,
that's
you're
important.
all right with that?
Sorry, but I do think that that's the important piece, because I was a little taken aback too. And in speaking with the bylaw officer, there are situations with extreme feeding. But again, it breaks down, kind of like what we just talked about, why we create bylaws, is it breaks down what a bylaw, what it would look like, what the speculation and what the parameters would be if it's considered extreme. So it's clear language for people to understand. It's because I was thinking, how are we not going to feed like little hummingbirds with your feeders? Like they do that everywhere. Palliative care of beautiful feeders. That wasn't what he was talking about. He was talking about, that's a good one. It should be called the extreme feed. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you, Chief, for your explanation. I always say if you wait long enough, you'll get your answers. I was going to bring that up, and the deputy mentioned that she was aware this was a problem. I can admit I did not know this was a problem, and if it is, and I appreciate the context and the extreme feeding component. So that I support and feel like that's certainly something we'd want to address from a broader perspective. So if that can be built in to the bylaw around the, kind of the different parameters around what's considered extreme, whether it be birds, rodent, or wildlife, et cetera. I think that makes a little bit more sense than kind of the way that it was interpreted at birds and hummingbirds. And I was like, oh, how can we even have the capacity to do this? Our bylaw officer, we only have one, I guess, and we're looking for another one, but extremely taxed right now and just dealing with the everyday stuff that we have. So, again, not making light of it, I think these things are important to have. If we don't have them, then we find ourselves in these circumstances. We certainly need something to help address that. So I think from that extreme feeding perspective, that makes perfect sense. And I would have never dreamt that somebody would ever be doing something of that nature, but how do you know? So, okay, thank you. I appreciate the context and the explanation, and I'll look forward to seeing what it comes out to.
So you sit around long enough, you learn a lot of stuff here.
Here for another 4 years.
Deputy?
Well, if we're actually going to go down that road, don't forget the feral cats. Everyone feeds the cats. We all love cats, and we're going to say you can't feed the feral cats too. That's under the nuisance bylaw. Mercy, so cats are under the nuisance bylaw? Oh, I'm not making fun of this. Tony Davis, do not report on this. This is silly anyways.
Don't tell the press
I know, I'm just joking. Mercy, there's gotta be that's just a lot, anyways.
Okay. Good to go? Move on. Parks Recreation, Councillor Kevin Ramsey. Ward 7, Ward 5.
Ward 7, ooh, baby.
Take it to Johnny Mac.
Thank you, Your Worship. Parks and Recreation did not meet since our last regular council meeting. We have no resolutions, but just a few notes I made myself here. Simmons is still operating and is operating very good. I was at the Junior C Championship, Worship. I believe you were there too. There's a lot of people around for that. Nova Scotia won it, but at the same time, I was standing there and I even walked the track during the intermission. And that's something for me to do. But I notice there's other people, while their sons or daughters are playing, they're walking the track. The track is very, very, very well used. And I think that was one of our best investments we ever did. The ball fields are open with our staff, and our soccer fields are not open as of yet because of the weather, but we're hoping for nicer weather. Our staff is working at it, and Councillor Beck, I will be bringing up your requests there the last time that we chatted. It's just that we didn't have a meeting this month. So if we have any questions, we'll try and answer them. Our manager, Frank Quinn, is here and I'm here. Thank you.
Councillor McAleer.
Thank you for your report, Councillor Ramsey. Just want to circle back. Had a resident kind of grill me a little bit last week on the tennis courts at UP or Victoria Park, i.e. Whatever, water gathering, pooling, whatever, on the porch. I mean, we were just through a project there. Just wondered if there's an update on that, and is there going to be any correction made to that, or what you can share with me?
Thank you for your question, Councilor McAleer. I'll pass that on to our manager. He seems to be on top of it. Thank you.
Through the chair, through to Council McAleer. So we're still working on the deficiencies, on the approach we're going to take with that. And we're also working on the other 3 courts that were approved this year's budget to get work done to those. So once I have some more information, we'll be sharing that out in the public. We're trying not to disrupt the clubs or the courts right now because they have open for the season. So last year they had probably over half the season or more that they didn't have courts. So we're trying to come up with a solution to address the deficiencies and have as minimal impact on the public. So once we have that confirmed, we'll let council know and let the public know as well.
Good. Councillor Ramsey, was it the Tignish Junior Cs that won that?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was the first time the Island team won it in a number of years.
Yes, I apologize. They were playing against Nova Scotia.
I was at the game.
But the Junior Cs from Tignish won it. They went undefeated. And it was very good hockey for Junior C. And the crowds were very good.
Very good.
The organizers were very pleased with it. So it was well run there. And we had an awful lot of accolade for our staff and everything, doing their job. So I think we're doing a good job. Thank you.
Okay. Water, wastewater, Councillor Bob Dron.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Brown, yeah. Thank you. We did not meet this month. I don't have any resolutions for you, but, I was asked to change the date of the water and sewer because it was being moved. We moved it to next Wednesday, so that's hopefully going to be the rest of the term. I did ask our manager to write council an updated email to where we are at with the fiber optic issue. He gave it to me just when I was getting ready to go to council meeting, so I didn't think that was fair to send it to everybody and then sit here and try to defend what's going on. I just wanted to take it back and read it, but I will send it to you tonight or tomorrow to keep you informed of what's going on, and we do have our meeting coming up next Wednesday. That way we'll have all the questions there, and hopefully he'll be able to answer them all for timelines and when are we going to get this stuff finished. So if anyone has any other questions, I'll try to answer them as best I can. Thank you.
Okay. You going to send it out tonight, Councillor, or tomorrow morning? You're usually up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Economic, Tourism, and Cultural Development, Councillor Terry Bernard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship. Economic, Tourism, and Cultural Development Committee, Your Worship, met today. The Arts Advisory Board met on April the 13th, and those minutes are included in your package. Our meeting from this afternoon are not. They will be in next month's meeting. But I do want to highlight from the meeting today, I think everybody's been waiting for the curling survey that the department had done. And I want to thank the department for that. I also want to thank Jessica Bradley for doing such a good job compiling it all. So, Your Worship, I have an economic executive summary, and I'll give everybody copies of it, but I just want to read some of the highlights here. So, The online survey was launched on March the 2nd via charlottetownhall.ca with hard copy made available also at City Hall to ensure broad accessibility. The survey closed on March 23rd. Your Worship, a total of 1,142 responses were received. This is the highest amount. The most we've ever had was around 490. So this was the highest response for surveys we've put on Charlottetown Hall. The survey consisted of 3 multiple choice questions, and then it was open-ended. So the first question on the overall view of developing a curling venue, Your Worship, was close to 80%. It was 76.9, and then would a venue meet recreational needs? Again, it was close to 80, 77.5. And the importance of access to curling facilities was again close to 80, Your Worship, 77%. So with that, there was comments that were allowed to be left, and so Jessica did a good job summarizing them. So for community and social impact, strong belief that a curling facility would serve a community hub, fostering social connections across all age groups, seen as a lifelong inclusive sport, youth to seniors, accessible to varying abilities, potential to reduce social isolation, particularly during the winter months. On health and recreation, that curling is perceived as promoting physical activity and mental well-being, perceived as providing a lower cost alternative to other sports, example hockey or other high cost sports, would expand winter recreation options in the city. For youth development, high emphasis on youth engagement and grassroots development, opportunity to integrate curling into school programs and after-school initiatives. Viewed as important for developing future athletes and sustaining the sport locally. Economic and tourism impact. Ability to host tournaments and major events provincially and nationally. Anticipated economic spin-offs for hotels, restaurants, and local businesses noted. Opportunity to strengthen winter tourism and the accessibility and convenience, address current gap requiring residents to travel outside the city, improves access to urban residents, seniors, and those without transportation. On the perceived challenges, capital and operating costs are the most frequently cited concerns. Need for sustainable financial model, some uncertainty about whether there is sufficient demand to support a new facility, location, difficulty in identifying a suitable location, operational sustainability, need for effective governance, management, and staffing, importance of affordable membership pricing, and multi-use facilities, strong consensus on broad support for a multi-purpose venue, maximize year-round usage, generate additional revenue, events, rentals, and other sports, and suggested integrations or offer other recreational facilities, fitness, courts, walking track, community event space. So on some of these, Your Worship, I can say Charlottetown Curling Club, they did go out and did some work. There's a preliminary design and renderings here that's been put together by 9 Yards. And the updated cost, so they costed it in 2022 at $8.4 million. And so they updated the cost for 2025, it was at $10.3 million. So that is for 19,600 square feet, 4 ice pad. So the renderings are all here. So Your Worship, I'm going to, Economic, Tourism and Culture Department did our work. So I'm just going to pass this information off to our Chair in Parks and Recreation and let them take the file. Okay. Do their due diligence. As for our department, an update on what's going on this month. Charlottetown will host a diverse lineup of events, Your Worship, including taco battles. I think everybody's heard about the taco battles that's starting up. Charlottetown Food Truck Festival, 2026 ACO Canadian Cornhole Classic, Street Feast, 2026 Atlantic Artistic Swimming Regional Championships, Andrews Hockey Growth Program's Atlantic 2-Line Grid Tournament, 2026 Atlantic Table Tennis Championships, and the Red Rock Classic Basketball Tournament. So lots going on, Your Worship. So anyway, if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. So. And I do have copies of the executive summary here. I'll give to everybody after the meeting tonight.
Councillor McAleer.
Yep, thank you, Councilor Barrett. Just wanted to make a comment, and I don't know if it falls under economic development, maybe could have made the comment under Parks and Rec, but just wanted to recognize the province in passing the combat legislation. I think it's going to have a great impact on that whole sector, on the combat sports, these MMA events. I know, I didn't know him. I knew of him, this Matt McGrath, who recently passed away, was a big push on this. And I've got to meet Cam Nelson, who's a local, I think, a young guy that's probably in his late 20s that's very much into the sport and turned pro. And I'd run into him different times. He trains at the spa there, and he would talk about going to Moncton and being in events and telling, sharing that he said he felt like half the crowd was from PEI. So I just think it's going to be a great event for the province to host, a great spin-off for the city. Maybe it fits into the shoulder season somewhere. And from what I understand, I think Wayne, John Abbott and his team are on it already in terms of potential events. And so I think it's great for our local athletes, the island athletes, and good on everybody and getting this legislation in place.
Right on.
Councilor Bernard? You're on. You want to say thanks? Thanks for the news.
Thank you for that. I guess it's more opportunities for us to host events in the city of Charlottetown and bring in tourism dollars and spin-off. So thank you.
Okay. Public Works. Oh, go ahead.
Just quick question. The Fiona Wood project, that going down to Canot Square? Is that where it's going? Canot? Yeah, thank you.
What project is that, Wayne?
I never heard.
Yeah,
The Fiona Wood project, it was mentioned in here.
thank you. Okay. Okay, Public Works, Councilor Twill.
Is that in order? Thank you, members of council. The Public Works Department is currently preparing for the upcoming construction season while continuing to manage spring cleanup activities and the operational planning for the summer. Public Works crews are gradually ramping up seasonal operations as we move through the spring season, with crews returning to address plow damage, grass cutting operations commencing, sidewalk and curb repair crews returning to address seasonal related damage, sweeper crews continuing seasonal cleanup activities throughout the city. Staff continue to coordinate construction planning, operational readiness, seasonal maintenance activities to support service delivery, infrastructure improvements and enhancements across the city. Recently, we had our second public consultation process regarding Exhibition Drive. There was a good turnout from the business community. The aim and objective for the second meeting was to hopefully bring clarification and clarity as to the infrastructure on Exhibition Drive, the work that's going to be done, timeframes, the rationale for specific infrastructure and how that infrastructure is going to be constructed on Exhibition Drive. And again, the time frame, this is a major project for the city of Charlottetown. We're looking in the area of over $5 million. And of course, Exhibition Drive was built on reclaimed land. So with that in mind, unforeseen circumstances I believe will be the norm, but nonetheless, it's a pretty ambitious project. It's a project that needs to be done, should be done. It's been on the books for a while, and to City Council's credit, that project's moving forward. And then when that project's completed, you'll notice very visible improvements and enhancements. And in terms of timeframes, you're looking at 5 months, at least 5 months. So I was stopped by one of the principals here yesterday saying, hopefully this project can get going and be completed. There is allowance for Old Home Week. And we want to make sure, and I've insisted through Public Works and Water and Sewer, we want to make sure that we have the right infrastructure in the ground, especially with Red Shores talking about constructing a new hotel on their premises. So in that particular area, there's a lot of work being done, a lot of anticipated work being done in that community. And this is a very busy time of the year for the business community on Exhibition Drive. So our planning department has made a commitment to work very closely with the business community to ensure that we have communications on an ongoing basis, on a consistent basis, on a daily basis. And I certainly look forward to the project being completed. If there's any questions, I'll do my best. We have our manager of Public Works here. Do my best to answer any questions. Thank you.
Councillor Drawn, Ward 6.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, and thank you, Councillor Tweel, for your report. Just two quick questions there. I know when we attended the community meeting at the community center there in Sherwood, we were told that, we would have some information by the end of April. I didn't see it in your report there. I don't know if it was discussed, but I'm just wondering of an update of when we're going to get any communication back to see what the next step is. And I'm just asking, I know it came out to tender today, Package B and Package A. I'm just wondering is there going to be a Package C or not? I don't know if your committee looked into that, but I'm just looking at, the numbers for every ward. Of course, I understand some streets are bigger than others and some wards get more paving than others. I'm just looking for, if there was a chance to get a Package C to even out the numbers of the paving. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Drawn. Councillor Tweel.
Your question's a good question. We're still awaiting further information, further results from the consultants that conducted the meeting, the assessment, the Cody Banks Arena. That's still an ongoing process. Hopefully, we'll have information back to the committee and Parks and Recreation as well.
Yes, sir.
And of course, bringing forward that information to City Council. As soon as we have it, Council's going to have it. And I think more equally important, the community's going to have that information. Regarding the packages, I know Package A, Package B, I know that our Public Works Department has been working on those tendering documents. They're working very hard here the last week or so. And again, when that information comes forward, we're going to bring that to our next Public Works Committee meeting. In regards to Package C, I think that's a good idea to make sure that our streets are in terrible shape right across the city. So hopefully we can look at some of your suggestions to make sure there's equality. Fairness right across the board. I don't believe that's an unreasonable request. You will hear, and you have heard in this chamber over the years, worst first. But we still have a responsibility. There's 10 elected officials here representing wards, and we've got to make sure that we show a presence when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to capital projects, when it comes to operational projects. I've always been in support of that. So with that in mind, I hope that brings a clarification. I know that the packages that are coming forward, I think we have in our budget well over $5 million for street paving. We have our patching crews. We got 2 excellent patching crews. They do a fantastic job here for the city. And they have, we have some great foremen that are leading the 2 patching crews. They do a fantastic job. There's second to none. And as soon as we have those documents and recommendations from our senior manager of Public Works, we'll bring them forward, whether it be at a regular council meeting or a special meeting of council. We want to get on with the job. Thank you.
CAO?
I do, Your Worship. Public Works Resolution Number 1, moved by Councillor Mitchell Tweel and seconded by Councillor John McAleer. Let it be resolved that as per the conditions of the public tender for 70 Kent Street main entrance relocation, the submission of McLean Construction Limited in the amount of $269,300 plus all applicable taxes be accepted, and that a budget transfer from the Public Works capital account for municipal buildings various building upgrades in the amount of $119,695 to municipal buildings 70 Kent Street be carried out, and that the mayor and CEO hereby authorize execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution.
Councillor Beck?
Thank you. I'm just wondering, the tendered amount was $269. So we originally budgeted $200,000, so we're looking to transfer $119,000, but only $69 is required. Am I missing something there, or is there any need for transferring $119,000 when all we need is $69,000?
Councillor Tweel?
That's a very good question. It's a reasonable question. I could attempt it, but for the sake of accuracy, I'm going to ask our manager to answer that specific question. That's a good question, Councillor Beck.
Albert?
Yes, thank you. Through Councillor Tweel to Councillor Beck. Excuse me. So, yeah, the total amount is $269,300 plus all applicable taxes brings, you know, at 15%, that is just over about $309,000. So we're looking to transfer $119,000. It gives us about a $10,000 contingency, which we usually plan in place for this, for small change orders for a project of this size. So that is why that amount is there.
Will? Can you?
During the deliberations at the Public Works Committee meeting, I had requested that from our staff to give a financial history of the city of Charlottetown when we acquired this building and how much money that we've spent in this building already. So I'm going to make that request again. I want that information submitted to all members of City Council to give them an accurate picture of how much money has been spent on this building since we've acquired it. I think it's important that you have that information, again, from a chronological point of view. And is there anything you'd like to add to that, Mr. Manager?
Yes, it is in there. So
It's in there.
The
It's in-
writing
I
that's
know,
in
but
red was the additional
Is
information.
it all there?
Yeah.
That's what we found when we looked through for the amounts and all the resolutions that went through council, that money that was spent there.
Okay.
Barring potentially some operational fixes and things that came up, but these were the major capital costs. So it starts out with when the building was purchased, at how much it was, and then any additional tenders that came through for HVAC and other things. If more in-depth search is needed for additional operational fixes through the years, we can go back and do that. It would take some time, but we could find that as well.
I'll reiterate, I just wanted to make sure all members of council have all the information, again, from a chronological, historical, financial perspective.
Yeah.
As to how much money we've been spending on this building.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Albert, did you find the resolution that was passed August 17th? Is that in your report? That was passed during COVID.
Yes,
It was
the actual resolution.
$1.6 million.
Yeah, I
And
don't think
the
we
vote-
attached the actual resolution,
Okay,
but the
the
amount
vote was
is.
8-0.
Yeah,
Councillors Bernard and Tweel absent. So that's what I found. Okay, question? Okay. Just press your buttons. Okay. You wait to be told. Okay, 10-0. Do you have another resolution? New business, thank you. It's new business, just.
New business resolution number 1, moved by Councillor Trevor McKinnon and seconded by Councillor Kevin Ramsey, that effective immediately, as recommended by His Worship Mayor Philip Brown, Emma McPhail be appointed to the City of Charlottetown Food Council.
Okay. Your Worship. Yes?
I was using the old package for this meeting, so I didn't see everything.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, do you?
I'm going to make myself in conflict. Okay, listen, well, if I didn't approve it.
But again, I want to have the deputy weigh
I
in.
think I'll just excuse myself, that's fine.
Just before you go. Yeah, deputy? Just press her button, please.
I was just saying that we often look to the mayor when we decide to declare ourselves in conflict. It's nobody's decision but us as an individual to make that decision. So if you decide you're in conflict, don't look to me or everyone else to ask them their opinion, because it's not up to us, it's up to you. So it's okay if you're in conflict, it's okay if you're not, but it's your decision, nobody else's. That's my rant.
Thank you very much.
And don't feed the cats.
Okay, take a vote. Let's see if this works. Let's see if it works. Nine zero. Councillor Mattert. And we respect your discretion. Okay. Okay. All ready to go? Councillor Duran, on to the closed session. Okay, you don't want to take a little break? Okay, we're going to get a motion to move into a closed session as per the Municipal Government Act of Prince Edward Island, Section 119, subsection 1E, a matter still under consideration, on which the council has not yet publicly announced a decision, and about which discussion in public would likely prejudice a municipality's ability to carry out its negotiations, and it's a contract services matter. All in favor? Okay. So I'm in the closed session. Just close the door behind you there. We're back in an open session. No decisions going forth in this opening session. And if Councillor Beck can turn off his music. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved second. All in favor? Thank you very much. Have a great night.